The C major primary chords are C major, F major, and G7. I'm going to walk through them. The C chord has C, E, and G. That's in root position. Root position because the root is the lowest sound. Root, third, and fifth. The 4 chord, the F chord, is in second inversion. Second inversion because the root, third, and fifth is in that order. The fifth is the lowest sound, which makes it in second inversion. Root, third, and fifth is F, A, and C. With the C in the bass, the lowest sound, makes it second inversion. Root position F chord, first inversion F chord, and if I flip it one more time, the C is in the bass. C, F, A makes it second inversion. Back to the C chord in root position. Then we have the G chord as the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth note of the scale, building a triad, a 3-note chord, G, B, D. Those are the 3 notes for the G major chord. The G major chord is the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G, B, D, but we're going to put the B and the D in the bottom. So since the B is the third of the triad, G, B, D, B is the third, and the third being the lowest sound, this is the first inversion. So understanding root position for the C chord, second inversion for the F chord, and first inversion for the G chord, G, B, D. So the 3 notes in the C major chord are C, E, G, and because C is the root and it's the lowest sound, it's in root position. The 3 notes of the F chord, the 4 chord, are F, A, C. Since the C, the 5 of the F chord, is in the lowest sound, the bass, when the 5 is in the bass, that means it's second inversion. Back to the C chord in root position. And then the G chord, G, B, D, are the 3 notes in the G chord, G, B, D. But since the B, the third, is in the bass, it's the first inversion. So if we went through any one of those chords, the C chord, C, E, G, we're still at C, E, G, we're still at C, E, G. All 3 of those are the C major chord, but different inversions of the same chord. C chord in root position, C chord in first inversion, C chord in second inversion. The F chord in root position, F, A, C. If I flip-flop it one more time, invert it, it's in first inversion with the A, C, F. And I'm going to move it down so I can do C, F, A. C, F, A, still the same F chord, but in a different inversion. So we have F, A, C, A, C, F, C, F, A. That'd be the root position, the first inversion, and the second inversion, all of the F chord. But we're only going to use one of those for the C chord progression. The C chord is in root position. The F chord is in second inversion. The C chord again is in root position. The G chord, the 5 chord, is in first inversion because the third is in the bass. So the chord progression just by letter name is C, F, C, G, C. The C is the 1 chord. The F is the 4 chord. The C is the 1 chord. The G is the 5 chord. And back to the C chord. That's the chord progression. 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. Now sometimes the 5 chord has a 7 added onto it. So that means that we would have a root, third, fifth, and a 7th. But instead of doing G, B, D, F with 4 notes, we're going to take that G and I'm going to transfer it up, and I'm going to take out the D. We don't need that. So we have B, F, and G. We add the F to create tension, to resolve back to the 1 chord. The G7 resolves to the C chord. G7 to the C chord. So now the chord progression goes C chord, F chord, C chord, G7, and C chord. The 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 1 chord, the 5-7 chord, and the 1 chord. The 1 chord is in root position. The 4 chord is in second inversion. Back to the 1 chord in root position. The 5-7 is in first inversion. Back to the 1 chord in root position.